דוד מאייר חי עם משפחתו בלוס אנג'לס שבקליפורניה, ושימש כמנהל בכיר בתעשיית הצעצועים. הוא נישא בשנת 1980.
In 1984, Vav Kislev, I have my first child, my wife and I, and he's premature. And we find out a few days later that he has Down syndrome. And he had complications at birth. He had some health issues. They wanted to do a transfusion. Our pediatrician didn't want to do the transfusion. We had a lot of issues. And then as he started to get healthier, 10 days later, my father-in-law dies unexpectedly. So we're going through all this, and we really, I mean, it's a devastating time, you know, losing my father-in-law, and then, you know, it was almost like, what else can you do, God? So my in-laws were from Montreal, and they used to winter in Florida. And I said, you know what? But the baby's healthy enough to travel. I said, why don't you come to New York with me? We'll spend, you'll come in for Shabbos, we'll spend Shabbos, and Sunday I'll try to get Yechidus with the Rebbe, get a bracha from the Rebbe for the baby. Now it's 1985, and you just don't get Yechidus with the Rebbe. But our good friend, a Friedman, Avrem'l Friedman, he says to me, I said, I have an idea. And he takes us into the lobby in 770 and says, when the Rebbe goes from the shul after Mincha back to his office, that's when you approach the Rebbe. So it's quite a crowd of people thinking the same thing. And Avrem'l says, keeps pushing, says, don't let anybody get out in your way, just stand there. And of course, when the Rebbe comes out, you're speechless. Well, you're not going to say anything, you know. But the Rebbe walked out and stopped and looked at my Avrem'l, and he took a coin out of his pocket and he put it in Avrem'l's hand. And because he was with Down syndrome, they don't have muscle tone till much later. He couldn't grab it, and the coin dropped. And before anyone realized that the coin had fallen on the floor, you know, everyone's very excited. The Rebbe's here, and I'm pushing my wife forward, and my wife's got the baby in her arms. The Rebbe stoops down, picks the coin up off the ground, puts it back in my Avrem'l's hand, and he folds the hand over with his hand, and he leans over to my wife and says, these are my generals. You shouldn't worry. And then he said something in either Hebrew or Yiddish, which my wife didn't speak either of. And it was really, I think for her, he said, he'll be a blessing. He knew my wife needed reassuring words. And it certainly is a blessing. Our son's now 31 years old. He's independent, he takes the train and the bus all over the city. He has a job. And I have to tell you, he is the light of our lives. He is our blessing.